What's up, creepy people? Today we're back with another 31 Days with 31 Frights. Today's a special one. Today we're watching a movie I have seen several times in my house because my mom really liked this movie. That being, Sometimes They Come Back. This movie was based off a Stephen King short story of the exact same title, so, there's not really much to deviate from aside from the Stephen King kind of experience. But enough of that. Let's go into the movie right now because I ain't got that much time. This movie starts out with our protagonist, Jim, moving into a new home with his happy family. We think his life is normal until we get to see his life. His mind full of traumatic flashes of his brother being killed. And I'm just going to say this now, so I won't do as many callbacks as I did in the Mimic video. His brother was his best friend, and since he was also his older brother, he idolized him. So one day, they end up going off to drop books off at a library, but then the brother decides to take a shortcut in an active train tunnel, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've done a lot of stupid things. Like I've been hit by, or at least I've hit a car with my body like two or three-ish times. I've almost broken my spine four times. I've drowned in a pool two, maybe three times. I broke one of my ribs and it was floating in my body for like a year. And I didn't notice until I was getting massaged and they popped that sucker back in. That's just a long list of not everything I've done that was stupid. But anyway, the brothers are confronted by your average 1950s greasers who robbed them and then murdered the older brother. The younger brother, who was the witness, is about to be killed, but with some common sense about this being a train tunnel, a train comes down the train tracks and rams the car with the greasers, and they all, kind of die. But the little boy took the car keys, making him the reason they died horrifically and sparking the desire for revenge from beyond the grave. Since that childhood arc is now summarized, let's get into the real meat and potatoes. We're back in the present with the younger brother who's now a teacher, and he has also got a very short temper. So much so that he's talking to a student and he kind of angers him because he's being a straight up douche nozzle. But fast forward a bit, he's talking to a student and he's like, I really liked your lesson about us repeating history, but I hope it's not the same story with different characters. Something similar to that. But unfortunately, he starts biking home. But we also see that he's being tailed by a black 1955 Chevrolet 150, which is the greaser's car. But since we also see this, we also see the brother following close in his car because he also sees them. But unfortunately, the student is then launched off the side of the road into a creek where he dies instantly. This makes people think Jim is crazy because he thinks there's another car, but only people saw him chasing this poor child down. Then the next day, one of the greasers takes the seat of the child that died tragically and acts like a major douche, mainly because he is one, and the person that basically killed him is teaching his class. Next, we see something similar happen to another student, except they're hung in a barn, which is, insane. I can't believe they went that route. But surprise, surprise, Jimmy's shot with another brain blast of this Minority Report style of sequencing. The one filled with horrible flashing lights and crazy camera angles, but that's pretty much how they show, oh yeah, we kind of hung this little lady to death. So when he talks to the police about this, they think he's the one who killed these two students because he knew so much about it. But then we see the next day another greaser taking the second dead student's place, this one being her murderer. And one thing I forgot to mention in their scenes was that each of them have their own little signature item. The first one being the way he handles the cigarettes. He does like the little Rain Man thing where he taps, except with his cigarettes, he taps it on his hand to loosen the tobacco in the cigarettes. The second one, he plays around with a knife because, of course, he does. And the last one, his item is him just being cartoonishly evil. Like, I don't know what his deal is, but he's just crazy and evil. But if you notice the pattern of all these greaser kills, they all target the people in Jim's class so they can take their spot and so they can all, conjoin and plot against him. We do see the third one come into class after the student that talked to Jim from the night prior is hit by the greaser's car. They don't exactly kill him this way because he's on their hood. So they drive him all the way around town to a bridge outside of town, which then makes them stop the car, talk to the student, and after they get all the information they wanted, they dismember him and throw his body parts into the river. While this happens, Jim is held in the police station for questioning since he knows so much about all these deaths. The only reason Jim's able to leave was because he's like, how could I have killed him if I was here with you guys all night? Checkmate, buddy. But, that didn't do much for them because as soon as he sees all the greasers, they pull a little thing from Motley Crue by smoking in the bathroom. And they tell Jim that his son is next for the chopping block. This later cuts to Jim's son being chased down by the car and also completely flipping somebody's car that Jim's son was hiding under. And you have to be so brain dead or like the most, I don't know, you had to have been dead for this because nobody heard that sound, which was like extremely loud. Nobody even heard the child screaming for help or like calling for his mom. It was insane. But after this then prompts Jim to find everybody that he remembered from the day his brother died, like a cop and the other surviving greaser. But if you think about him flipping this little switch was, good, think again, because when he's doing this, his wife and son are attacked by the greasers. And we also get to see like their revolting skin like falling off and burnt because they're, were hit by a train in their car. But after this, they don't exactly kill him. So he then takes his family to a church because the scariest thing to a pack of teens listening to 50s rock is accepting Jesus Christ into their life. Unfortunately, this plan fails because his son is a bumbling toddler that runs out of the building twice after falling for the good old dad came back with the milk trick. Now we see him going into his brother's grave because he just says, you can't come back if you don't help me. And if you do help me, maybe you'll be led into heaven. But he gets hit with like a spirit ball. So Jim's like, all right, I'm gonna go to the tunnel, confront the greasers, and he does the exact same thing that happened 27 years ago. He pretty much reenacts how his brother died, except he didn't get stabbed. It was the guy who survived getting stabbed. Since his heart decided to grow 10 sizes too big for his chest, and somehow led the knife getting stabbed into his gut. So with this guy dying, Jim's brother is able to come out of this ghost ball and he straight up just goes, "Sup, little homie? These punks trying to holla at your boy?" And, this kind of prompts an epic final battle where the literal soul train manifests out of nowhere, hitting the greasers in their car again. But instead of another explosion, we see this great, disgusting, gnarly scene of their bodies melting from the steam and the extreme heat of the train. The movie then ends as Jim helps his brother find peace with his death, allowing him to enter heaven to be with their parents. That is the end of the movie. This movie came to my mind because, as I said, my mom used to put this movie on a lot whenever she wanted to watch a not so scary horror movie. So, if anything, shout out to my mom for manifesting this movie into my subconscious for another bad movie review. And I am kind of running out of time because for some reason I chose to write this script so late. So, I'm just going to cut my opinion short. The movie's a banger, awesome set design, amazing car choice, and disgustingly great, this awesome body horror design. But if you like this movie, it's free on Tubi, so literally there is no excuse to not watch it. And as I've always said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Bye.